Story 1. The shovel-wielding burglar in Ray. In 2020, in the small town of Rear, Washington, Joey Archer faced an unimaginable night of terror that kept him on his toes. Joey lived in a modest house on the outskirts of town, surrounded by dense woods. The peaceful isolation of the house had always been a source of comfort, but one stormy night, that peace was violently shattered. It was late, and Joey had just put the kids to bed. The storm was still raging outside, the wind howling and the rain pounding against the windows. As he sat in his favorite chair with a book, a loud noise from the backyard startled him awake. His heart pounded as he grabbed a flashlight and cautiously approached the back door. Peeking out into the rain-soaked darkness, he saw a figure with a shovel trying to break down the back door. The intruder's face was twisted in anger and despair, a horrifying sight in the flickering light. Joey's protective instincts kicked in. He couldn't let this man endanger his family. Musking his courage, Joey threw open the door and confronted the intruder. A fierce struggle ensued, their fighting barely audible over the raging storm. Joey managed to wrestle the shovel away and subdue the burglar, who then lay sprawled on the muddy ground. He quickly called the police, who arrived within minutes and arrested the intruder, charging him with attempted break-in. Afterward, Joey's sense of security was deeply shaken, realizing that his home, surrounded by the quiet woods he loved, had become vulnerable was a hard pill to swallow. He immediately took steps to harden his home, installing new locks, security cameras, and motion sensor lights. Despite these measures, the fear remained. Every night as he lay in bed, memories of the struggle replayed in his mind. The sounds of the storm, once a source of comfort, now terrified him. He found himself on edge, every sound in the house making his heart race. The peaceful solitude of the house had been tainted by the violent intrusion, and regaining that sense of peace seemed an impossible task. Joey's vigilance became a fixture of his life. He joined a neighborhood watch and became an advocate for home safety in his community. The terrifying encounter left a lasting impact, a stark reminder of how quickly safety can be stripped away. The woods surrounding his home, once a symbol of peace, now seemed to whisper of invisible threats, forever changing the way Joey viewed his once idyllic. Story 2. The Las Vegas Burglary. In September 2017, my partner and I began to notice strange charges on our credit cards. We were sure we hadn't made these purchases, but a few days earlier, we had lost a wallet containing several cards. We assumed it was lost somewhere around the house and didn't think much of it. However, recent activity on our cards suggested otherwise. Determined to find out what had happened, we reviewed footage from our home security cameras to see when we might have left the house without the wallet. Oddly enough, we never saw ourselves returning home without it. This anomaly led us to take a closer look at the footage, analyzing it hour by hour. After some time, we made a chilling discovery. Two men had climbed over the back wall of our house into the backyard and entered the house through the back door, which we had not known. They quietly snuck into the kitchen, stealing several valuables, including our wallets. The most disturbing part was that my partner and I were sleeping on the living room sofa, just a few feet away. The intruders were clearly aware of our presence, moving cautiously to avoid waking us. Had we woken up, the situation could have escalated far beyond a simple burglary. The thought of what could have happened if we had confronted the intruders was terrifying. We immediately contacted the police and provided them with the footage. Although the footage was clear, the two men were still unidentified. This incident left us feeling violated and unsafe in our own home, prompting us to upgrade our security measures. It is a haunting reminder of how quickly a sense of security can be shattered. Story 3. Mother and son in danger. In October 2021, I was home alone with my 2-year-old son when a seemingly normal day turned terrifying. It started with loud banging on the door and a man's voice screaming for help. Worried, I approached the door but didn't recognize the man, so I decided to ignore him. However, the banging and shouting became more aggressive, making it clear that he was trying to break in. Terrified, I grabbed my son and barricaded ourselves in the upstairs bathroom. As we hid, we heard the unmistakable sound of breaking glass. The man had smashed a window to get into the house, all captured on our security camera. In desperation, I called the police, explained the situation, and begged for help. It felt like a century before they arrived, even though it was only 10 minutes. During that time, the intruders searched the house but did not find us. The fear of what he might do if he discovered our hiding place became overwhelming. When the police finally arrived, they arrested the man and took him to the hospital to treat the cuts he had suffered climbing through the window. We never learned why he had targeted our home. The police believed he was under the influence of something, but they never confirmed what it was. The experience left us shaken. The thought of what might have happened if he had found us still haunts me. We immediately took steps to increase the security of our home, but the psychological scars remain. It was a terrifying reminder that our sense of security could be shattered in an instant, and the consequences could have been much worse had the police not arrived. Story 4. The New Jersey Intruder. One night in New Jersey, when I was home alone with my 2 daughters, I heard strange noises coming from downstairs. No one was there, so I was worried. I checked my home security camera on my phone and was horrified to see a man I didn't recognize walking around on the first floor of the house. Frightened, I quickly and quietly locked myself and my daughters in the upstairs bathroom and called the police. Watching the intruder on the camera was a nerve-wracking experience. He moved around the house, stealing valuables, including my wallet, but fortunately, he didn't come upstairs. The wait for the police felt like an eternity. When they finally arrived, the man was gone, taking many valuables with him. The police couldn't identify him, and we were left with the worry that he might return. It was terrifying to think about what might have happened if he had found us upstairs. The incident had a lasting impact on our sense of security. We have since installed additional locks and upgraded our security system, but the fear of a break-in remained. It was a harsh reminder of how quickly our sense of security can be shattered and how vulnerable we can be, even in our own home. The experience also brought us closer as a family, reinforcing the importance of being vigilant and prepared for unexpected threats. Story 5. The Pittsburgh Stalker. In July 2017, my wife and I started hearing strange noises coming from our attic at night. The noises were loud enough to wake us up, but we ignored them, thinking they were benign. However, a few nights later, in addition to the noises, we found a light shining through a pipe, which gave me the alarm call. I suspected my neighbor, Robert Harila, who shared an adjacent wall with us, but when the police questioned him, he denied everything. Without concrete evidence, there was not much they could do. Still suspicious, I automatically mounted a camera on the attic for evidence. That night, the noises stopped, but I decided to review the footage the next morning. What I saw was disturbing. Robert was crawling around protecting us with an electric drill. I called the alarm again, this time with video evidence. Robert was arrested immediately. After investigation, we discovered that he had built a removable wall to further protect us and had drilled multiple holes into the brick wall that shared our home. This evidence, along with the video footage, led to Robert being targeted and trespassed. The situation left us feeling violated and constantly on edge. We could not understand why someone would go to such lengths to invade our privacy. The ordeal also strained our relationships with our other neighbors as we became wary and anticipatory. It took a long time for us to feel fully back in our own home. Robert's actions were a stark reminder of how vulnerable we can be, even in the chosen safety of our homes. Story 6. The Unknown Woman in the Apartment. In November 2009, I noticed food disappearing from my refrigerator and pantry. I knew I hadn't eaten anything, so I confronted my girlfriend, who denied taking anything. To catch her in the act, I set up a camera overnight expecting to see her sneaking. However, what I discovered the next morning was much more disturbing. Reviewing the footage, I saw a strange woman climb down from the storage area in my apartment. She casually walked to the refrigerator and pantry, eating various foods and drinking milk. When I left the bedroom, she quickly hid. When I returned to the room, she gathered more food and retreated to the storage area. Panicked, I immediately called the police. When they arrived, they found the woman in the storage area and arrested her. Living on the top floor, I suspect she entered through a fire escape in the ceiling. Police speculated that she had been living there for weeks, planning to rob me, although her true motive was never confirmed. The incident left me feeling extremely violated and unsafe in my own home. I couldn't shake the thought of someone secretly living in my apartment, watching my every move. It was a stark reminder of how vulnerable we can be, even in the places we feel most secure. Since the incident, I have installed additional locks and security cameras, but the psychological impact remains. The experience has changed the way I perceive my personal space, making me much more cautious and aware of potential security gaps.